Vue and Nuxt site with a React and Next site. And we're going to go from having sort of a static big JSON file store for the data for largely this schedule page and also this club and info page with a Strapi CMS. And then we'll take these static pages here and throw them into the CMS as well, so that the people who manage the part of this organization can just manage it themselves, and they don't need me to make edits. I've set this website up so that it was easy to make edits on the developer side. All these pages are just in the code, that sort of thing, and the more dynamic stuff is just in a big JSON file. And that's fine for me, but that's not so fine for, somebody that's not a developer or whatever. So we're going to make this thing CMS powered or CMS backed, however you want to think about it. And then the other part of it is back when I first set this up, I was doing a lot of Vue. Vue just kind of clicked for me for whatever reason. I think I kind of liked the single template files and the structure of them. But now the Vue's kind of gone to the composition API, or do I remember the names of the two APIs from Vue? It's been a while since I've done any Vue. Anyway, they went from the sort of single template file to sort of more of a React style. And I got into a React project, and now React kind of feels a little bit better to me, and I've done a lot more React over the last couple of years. So I want to try out Next. I've never used Next, so we'll probably be spending a lot of time in the documentation, which is fine. That's all part of doing new things. You've got to do some reading and figuring out. But once we get over that little bit of a hurdle as to getting the project set up and that sort of thing, pretty familiar with React components and that sort of thing, so we should be able to move along pretty quickly. The other major change we're going to be making from this website to the new one will be to change the CSS framework we're using. Right now, we're using a sort of component level framework called Bulma. It's just something I wanted to try. I had done, a lot of Bootstrap sort of stuff. Bootstrap's nice if you want to get something set up quickly, but it all kind of tends to look like Bootstrap. So I tried Bulma out, very similar to Bootstrap in a lot of ways. But more recently, I've sort of fell in love with Tailwind, so we're going to be using Tailwind. I don't think I'm going to change the look and feel of the website substantially, but we are going to use Tailwind because that just, feels pretty good when you're using a component level framework. A lot of people don't like it, or maybe some people don't like it, or the criticism of it is you have these big lists of classes, and that can be annoying. If I was just doing just literally hand coding a static HTML website, that would get pretty annoying pretty quickly, I think. But when you've got a component level framework and you can reuse components, those class lists, just don't matter. And I think that the benefit is then I don't have to keep switching concerns. I don't have to switch from a CSS file, back to a markup file, and so on and so forth. And if I want to make a change, it's just right there in the markup. And I tend to like that better. I don't know. Maybe 2 years from now, I'll think that's not very good and I have some different opinion. But right now, that's where I'm at. So that's what we're going to do. So the first thing I think we need to do here is set up a Next project. And I'm guessing we're going to issue some sort of npx command. So we'll go see what that is. And I'm guessing that there's going to be some sort of series of questions that it will ask us, and hopefully we know the answer to those. So yeah, npx create. I'll zoom in a little bit here. That's probably super tiny. Npx create, and I'll give it a name. Actually, it'll probably just ask for a name in the little wizard here. So we'll create that. What is my project named? So you can probably see here, this is Eco USPSA. Probably nobody interested in web development or software development has any idea what that is. So this is sort of a competitive shooting sport, and Eco is the I don't know, local group of clubs. So in the hierarchy, there's sort of the national level. Then that gets split up into areas. Areas are like a handful of states typically. And then those areas are comprised of sections. So this is the local section for the sort of Colorado Front Range area. And all the clubs within it. So we'll call it Eco USPSA. And of course, anytime you're sharing your screen in a meeting or whatever, you forget how to type completely. And we'll go next, just to differentiate it from the Eco USPSA folder that is the View website. Oh, I actually already did this, so I'm going to delete that. Say next. And we'll do that again. Do I want to use TypeScript? No, I do not. I don't know. If TypeScript works for you, great. It never really made any sense to me, so I don't use it. But I don't know. Maybe somebody can make the case to me as to why it's the greatest thing ever. But I'm going to skip it for this project. Do I want to use ESLint? Not really. Once again, if it works for you, great. I've never found a lot of value in it. For small personal projects. If I was working on a big team project and you got a bunch of slobs that don't like to indent or whatever the case might be, then maybe makes a lot more sense. But just for me, the equals key in NeoVim, I think will take good care of us. Do I want to use Tailwind? I sure do. That's cool. That's baked in. Would you like to put your code inside of a source directory? It looks like the default is no. I know with the Nuxt app that I currently have, everything is in a source directory. Maybe that's just one extra CD command that we don't need to do. So we'll try with no. Maybe I'll regret that decision. Would I like to use the app router? We'll go with yes. That seems to be the default. TurboPack seems to be the default. We'll go with that. Do I want to customize the import alias? No, I think the default will be fine. Cool. We got through the questions without too much drama there. Great. So now we can go into that directory and we can fire that up. It looked like it was dev. Does this use npm? Looks like it does. Npm run. What are the commands? Dev. npm run dev. I'd actually like to do that on 2. Cool, and we'll fire that up. Localhost 3000. Cool, we got like a generic landing page here. That is awesome. And I'm going to run this. Do I need to run this locally, or can we just use the live site? You know what? Let's use the live site until we decide that that is a bad move. Okay, cool. Read our docs. You know what? Let's just inspect the source here. So we've got an app folder. We've got a public folder and some various configuration stuff. Let's take a look at app. We've got a layout file. That makes sense to me. And we've got a page file. And what do we have a router in here? We have a global CSS file. It imports Tailwind. That's cool. And generic page. So I think the app router is basically like a file system based sort of thing rather than like a routes file that sort of powers everything, which I believe is pretty similar to the current Nuxt website. I believe that uses a file system based router as well. So I think I'm just going to dive in and start recreating the layout. So I don't know how far I'm going to go here in this stream. We'll just get started. Maybe we'll try to get the header, the footer. Not a whole lot going on in the footer. put together, and then yeah, maybe that'll be a good place to stop. Maybe I'll start working on the homepage. I don't know. Probably should have put some thought into that before I got started, but oh well. So it's interesting. They give us the HTML tag and then just takes children, exports a root layout component, and looks like we do some font stuff in here. And it looks like we get Google Fonts by default too. That's also kind of cool. So I'm guessing if I just start putting some divs in here, and of course I hit tab when I didn't mean to. Yeah, cool. And I'm guessing we get Tailwind by default because that was imported into globals, and globals is imported here. And of course I'm hitting the tab key. First bit of channel meta. So I use a split keyboard, and I've got tap hold set up in QMK, and it causes me some problems sometimes. So right now, tab is my tap, shift is my hold. So every once in a while, I go to type a capital N in class name, and I hit the tab key. We'll add some default padding to that. We'll add a background. No, we want that darker, something like that. Next white. We're actually going to go padding 2. I know I should be using semantic tags here as well, but as of right now, and of course now I'm streaming. All this Tailwind stuff that's usually fresh in my mind is just going to be absent, but we'll get through it. Maybe we'll have to pull up the Tailwind docs to remind myself. There's probably some sort of Tailwind plugin that would auto prompt me for all of these things, which might be helpful. Let's just start there. Oh boy, do I not have React? Oh, can I rename that? What? Why don't I have an indentation set up? Maybe I should have had ESLint. I don't know why my indentation is not working. Probably not something I'm going to solve here. Here we go. Set a max width. Center it. And we could probably even make that bigger. I think my zoom level. Oh, my zoom level is not the same. We'll zoom in. We don't need to make it pixel perfect, but we're just looking for something similar. And then maybe we'll do, I'm actually really not sure why my indentation is not working on this JSX file. Oh, you know what? I might not have the tree sitter plugin installed. TS in, what is it? Install JavaScript. Ah, there we go. Look at that. Some syntax sliding and some indentation. All right, cool. right, we're probably going to want some sort of flex situation going on here. Wow, why am I doing ending tags? All right. And then we'll do a menu over here. Oh, sorry, we want links. I'm going to have to look up the documentation for that. I'm guessing there's some sort of link component. Link tag. That sounds like what we want. And is it like React Router? Oh, no, it uses href. All right. Cool. And we'll just leave these blank for now. And we probably want to end that with a link tag. Cool. So we'll just put some links in here. May make these dynamic, actually. It's always sort of a balancing act as to how much control you want to give to the end user and how structured you want it to be. I tend to sort of lean towards giving them just the bare minimum of what they need to edit to keep the site looking consistent and to avoid the client breaking the website, and then sort of add administrative ability as needed. All right, so we're going to want to go, no, it's justify between, and you got to spell it correctly. You got to spell all the words correctly. There we go. And we'll go item center. Good, and we'll flex this as well. Something like that. And actually, I don't want the padding on the main container. I want the padding of the menu items themselves to sort of set the height of the container. That gives you a bigger click target. So we'll do that. And you know what? We're just going to do this. We'll just do a string up here. And then maybe someday we'll split this into its own component. Or maybe we won't. We'll keep it simple to start. Probably would have been a great time to use a Vim macro. And with that padding, I don't think we need this gap anymore. Probably do want our closing quotes, however. Probably make that text a little bit smaller. Throw a hover on there. What did we use? 800. We'll go 700 for the hover. We actually go darker. Maybe we'll go a little bit darker. Maybe we'll start 700 and go to 800. And we could waffle around with this forever. And I don't know what this gray is. Some default Bulma, probably. We'll use some default Tailwind ones. We could always open up the config file and add some custom ones, but honestly, I don't think anyone's really going to notice, so I'm not too bothered about it. So that's all fine. We've got a little picture of the Colorado flag here for the logo. We could probably copy that over. And I wonder, I guess we just put that in the public. I guess we'll find out here. So we'll go, I don't actually even remember where that is. Assets, nope. Static. Yeah, what do we got in here? Colorado flag. And then what do we have in here? We've got public. Yeah, right there. So we'll just put that there. And then I'm guessing maybe there's a custom component. I don't know. But I'll bet if I just do this, I bet that will show up in there. Indeed, it does. I was going to say, I don't think the image is block level. I just think we ran out of space there. Why do we have so much more space? Did I duplicate a menu item? No. I guess we have a little bit more width on this one. Is that image being rendered block? That would be interesting if it were. Oh, it is being rendered block. Okay, that's fine. Tempted to just use a flex there. Throw a little space between them. And this is actually, probably should be a link. So we'll make this a link. And we'll make that go to the home page thusly. And we should put a little padding on that. Something like that. And we'll throw that hover on there too, which begs the question, we should just be using our link classes. And we should probably bring in some sort of Tailwind merge thing to merge these together, because I'm tempted to use these, but I also want to apply my own classes. So we could just do something like this. Let's keep it simple until we need to. That's not what I wanted to do. Change surround that one to that, not that. Don't even know my own keyboard. There we go. Third time's a charm. And we'll just bring these in here. Nope, no, we're not doing Ruby. We're doing JavaScript. So we'll use a string literal and grab our link classes in there. And that works just fine. And now that's a little bit weird. So instead of using padding to get this up top, I think I might use a flex stretch. Actually, you know what? It really doesn't bother me. We could use flexes. What is it? Alignment. Can't remember the name. Might have to pull up the CSS tricks thing to remind me the name of the property. But there's a way to get the height of these to stretch to fill up the flex. But that isn't really bothering me, so we'll just leave it that. And we actually do want a slight amount of gap between these. That's looking pretty good to me. Good enough to get started anyway. So let's grab the footer. There's not much to the footer. It is a super light gray. So we will give ourselves a div. I know. We should be using semantic tags here, but they didn't exist when I started. Or they certainly weren't widely supported when I started. Maybe people being mean to me in the comments will get me to change. And we're going to put a bunch of padding in here. PY, I don't know, probably more than 12 actually. We'll start with 12. And we're just going to copy and paste that. You know what? What am I doing here? There we go. And we probably want to surround this. With something. Actually, you know what? We probably don't need this one. We can just center the whole thing. What is it? Text center like that. Cool. We could throw a gap in there. We could do it flex. I think we're just going to do B 6 maybe. Oh, it's text. We might go one smaller on that. That looks pretty good. Should probably make that the current year so we don't have to go in there and update that. Tempted to use Luxon for that. So we can go. And I don't know if we have to restart that Nuxt or Next server or not, development server. I'm guessing we do, but maybe we don't. And we just want the year. Where is that? Formatting. there just a string we can do? Bunch of built-in formats. To format, bunch of Ys. Okay, that makes sense. It seems like every language has their own date time. Language and library has their own date time formatting string. Difficult to keep them straight. So we can do something like date time dot now dot to format some Ys. Oh, that's the current website. Where are we at here? Right here. And it looks like that worked. Cool. Just cool. Always nice to make that dynamic. Never a good look when this this is like 5 years ago on the in the footer of a website here. Pretty common. Cool. So I think that's a good start on the header and footer. Obviously, we're going to have to go back into those and make a lot of changes. Fix our indentation, which ESLint would have done for us probably right when we saved, but hitting the equals key is not too difficult. So let's go over to page, and we're probably just going to delete almost all of this. Oh, there's actually an image tag. I guess we could use that in the header. Not sure what all of the benefits are. Oh, I bet it does some sizing and stuff on the fly. That's interesting. Let's take a look. The image component extends the default image tag for automatic image optimization. Cool. Yeah. Got to get that lighthouse score, right? So let's do that. Let's make that change. I don't know why I'm copying that. Well, that was the import, right? Yep, it was. Cool. Let's go down here. And then actually, where's that next image? Is that just in public? Next, yeah, it is just in public. Cool. So we can just replace this with the image tag. We should probably put alt text in there. Which is the Colorado flag. That should also probably be an SVG, but I don't know how many ever years ago when I first put this together. Or actually, I think I converted this from some static HTML website that somebody else had made. Alt, we should probably put a width and a height in here. I'm not sure what priority does, but I'll bet this will tell us. The image should be preloaded. Default is false. Let's do priority. That sounds good. I'm not sure that's actually what I want, but we'll leave that. And then seems like putting a width and height in here is probably a good idea. Just whatever the default is, I'm sure is fine. What is this thing? 54 by 36. Probably helps the optimization. Let's just look. I don't know. Maybe I just missed it in there. Sizes for responsiveness. That makes sense. I don't know. Maybe they just get passed through to the underlying image tag. Either way, never a bad idea to specify the size. So we'll leave those in there. Cool. So, now what have we done? Oh, it's probably not source. What have we done here? Oh, wants an absolute path, maybe? That is an absolute path. Why did we lose our image? And why is this taking forever to load? That's curious. What is going on here? Where are we getting stuck here? It's the image. I wonder what is going on there. Yeah, so it looks like it's hitting some type of image endpoint, which I'm sure is doing the, resizing and optimization, that sort of thing. But it doesn't seem to be loading. What if we open that in a new tab? What happens? Oh, it downloaded. Interesting. Why doesn't it work in the browser? That is very curious to me. Because this is an image, right? And that loads up just fine. Is that doing the same sort of thing? No, it's not. Very curious to me. Maybe I guess the difference because this is a vector image and that is a raster image. Also very curious that loaded up just fine. I'm actually tempted to see if that download, let's just open that in Firefox here. Yeah, that worked just fine. Why won't the browser load that? I don't know. That's very curious to me. The browser was able to download it, but it won't display it. Let's maybe look for some clues back in the image component here. I don't really need sizes. We can specify a quality loader. Custom function needs to generate the image URL. I don't really need that. This might be, if you're using some sort of CDN or something like that. Maybe we'll go unoptimized because it's a pretty small PNG. I don't think it... Yeah, that seemed to solve it, but that's interesting. I actually don't think I'm displaying this full size here. Oh yeah, max height 1.75 rem. Curious if the browser won't load that, but it downloaded just fine. There's probably some obvious answer there that I'm just not thinking of right now, but for now, I'm not going to stress out about it too much. Let's work on the home page a little bit with this very old graphic somebody came up with. Somebody like the emboss tool in whatever photo editor they were using at the time. And we've got some logos and things here, some text. Okay. All right, so we've got nothing. So we'll fill this up now. We'll add that background graphic in a little bit. We'll copy and paste this text. And then, you know what? We're just going to copy and paste all of this to... we'll start wrapping that up in some divs. We'll add some shadow, maybe a border. Like I said, this doesn't need to be pixel perfect. We just want the basic look and feel to be roughly congruent. Oh, actually, these should be headers. Probably H2s, and I should probably use my surround plugin. Yeah, YSS H2. And then we'll grab these. Oh, don't know what I did there. Should probably get one of those screen keys plugins. I don't Vim as well as I probably could, but I do have some plugins and things that would probably benefit from. Why won't you? Why you no indent? What have I done in the format of this? It doesn't want. Okay, that's good. There we go. Don't know why those didn't want to indent, but they're good now. Clean up some of this white space. And you know what? I actually want to wrap these, so we're going to... Actually, maybe I shouldn't be spending any time on this at all. This should probably just be a CMS thing, but so whoever can make text edits to this, but oh well, it's been done. I'm gonna make these H3s actually. CST H3. You know what? We're gonna make that a macro. So we're gonna go at Q CST H3 Q at. Okay, there we go. Delightful. I'll save that. I want to refresh. Oh, there you go. Did I lose? Do I have an error? Wonder why saving that didn't refresh. If we... Oh, yeah. That's working. All right. So we'll set the max width. So where layout and pages, I actually need to look into this project structure a little bit. So I'm tempted now to start using some reusable components because I was just starting to wonder what I set a max width to create sort of a I don't know, a section sort of layout or however you'd want to think about it. And I might want to reuse that because I don't want to have to remember, is it 5XL? Is it 4XL? If I want to change it in the future, do I want to go and change it on every page? Probably not. So a reusable component starts to make sense to me here. But I just need to look into what the sort of structure is. So we've got app, pages. I think we skipped the source directory if my app router and pages router. What is the difference? Top level files. Dynamic routings. Okay. 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 I see what the structure looks like here. So if a folder has a page.js in it inside this app folder here, then it's routable. And if it doesn't, then those components are not routable. And anything not called page.js is not routable. So if we have a reusable component that is at the top level, so like a button is a great example here, where I'd want to use that all over the app, we can put that higher up the hierarchy. But if we have something that we just want to split off because our file is getting too big and unmanageable or something like that, then we can put that, like if we had like an admin section or something like that. We had an admin menu, so we could sort of scope that. Okay. So that's in the app folder. What's the pages router? Let's look at that. When a file is added to the pages directory, it's automatically available as a route. How is that different than the app router? That's not super clear to me. I have to play with this a little bit to totally understand the difference between the app router and the pages router, or maybe there's from pages to the app router. Maybe that's a Google search and somebody can just explain it concisely. You know, and maybe I'll just play around with this a little bit. So in the app router here, and actually I don't even have a pages directory. Sounds like maybe that's the older way of doing things. So we've got app router here. So page would be like the default, the top level home page. Everything's going to be rendered inside this layout. So if I wanted to make a new page, like getting started, I think what I would do is make a folder, and we should use the same URL structure. I'd really like to use a dash, actually. So we'll make a folder in here. And then I think I need to make a page.js file in here. Whoops. And then I would do something like edit that and go. I don't think it even needs a name really, but and then we could also go to our layout and link that up. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so we got our home page here. And now if I go to getting started, great. That renders our H1 for getting started. That seems like what we want to do. And I think all these pages are super simple. So I think actually I might just wrap this in our max width, was it 5XL, MX auto, and I'm going to put some padding top and bottom on this. Space that out. Great. Okay. And then let's look back at this app router a little bit more. This is starting to click for me. Then we have other special files in here if we want to add an error boundary or things like that. Project structure. Oh, yeah. So, oh no, we still have the pages router. I'm a little bit curious about that. I don't think I'm going to use it. Sounds like maybe it's the routing files, layout page. Oh, loading. We can have a file there. Found error. Okay, cool. Parallel route fallback page. Not sure about that. We have dynamic segments. So maybe I'll actually just skeleton out the project a little bit so I can add those links. And we can actually just start putting this content in here. Ultimately, I'll move this to the CMS, but I think right now we'll keep these static. And we'll go QQ, YSST, P, enter. Use Vim surround. We'll go down twice. We'll kill that. And there's some links in here. Things like that. Tempted to give this a class name like page title. And then maybe we can go in here and we could do something like text. Oh, do we not use apply as what, post CSS? Is that not what this uses? It does. And what is it? MX auto. Make it bold. Not MX auto, text center. For something like that. And it's not actually getting started. It's not sure that actually makes the most sense, but whatever. Get something like that. And then I'm also very tempted to give paragraphs some default styling. That's a good start. We'll stub in safety program. I would actually format this, but my plan is to move it into the CMS anyway, so I'm not going to get too bothered about it. Oh, actually, you know what? We can stub in more than one of these at a time. I'm not going to do the schedule. That's the first thing I'm going to put in the CMS is the schedule, because that's where the most updates to the website happen. Club info is also going to be highly driven by the CMS right away as well, so I'm not going to put that one in. Or actually, no, I can put them in because this is all dynamic. What is the URL for this? Just clubs. We'll do that. Sorry, just looking at the stream stuff. Still new to this, trying to figure out if anybody's watching or not, which I'm guessing nobody is. But I was just clicking around in my streams, got distracted for a second there. Anyway, feedback, good. So we can write that. Yes. This plugin for file management is oil.vim, by the way, or oil.nvim. It is super awesome. I think I don't know, maybe have Nerd Tree installed. That's cool too. I've definitely used that in the past, but it's one of these things where you got to remember a bunch of keyboard shortcuts, and I don't know. I just could never remember what they were. Oil.vim, you basically just edit files and folders as if they're a normal Vim buffer. So, I can just hit O to start typing on a new line, and then escape colon W to write. And then it will, ask me if I want to save any changes. And works really well. Don't really have to remember much. Few commands you need to know, hide and show, hidden files, that sort of thing. But for the most part, it's just like editing a buffer. And I really like that. Anyway, safety program. We'll edit this. Page.js. Yes. And we'll just copy and paste all of this business here. Should still have my paragraph macro. And this is Vim Surround that I'm using. It works really well. I've also used Emmet a little bit too in the past to create structure, but for some reason I don't know. I found myself not using it. And these are links to files. I'm not going to be too bothered about those. I am tempted to put some default styling on unordered lists, though. Normally I would, I don't know. I would be tempted not to do that. But since a lot of this is going to be coming from a CMS with like a WYSIWYG editor, I want to provide some default styles to that sort of stuff. Oh, and I never use these. I probably have to look them up. style type, list disk at apply. You know what I should do, actually, before I get too carried away here, is get back to layout, put these links in. Actually, you know what? I'm going to search for double quotes, and then I can get to them pretty quickly. Actually, I don't think feedback is a page. That might go to, yeah, it goes to a Google form. So I'll go to safety program. We'll apply a little bit more to this. And we got paragraphs, and yep. So we probably want to set list position. I can never remember which one of these is which, but we'll. Is it outside I want? Inside I think I want. PL, I don't know, 10 maybe. That's too much. Even that's too much. We'll go with 6. It's pretty good. And just a little bit more spacing between the items. Good enough. Unknown rule at apply. I'm not sure why. Oh, probably because this is just being interpreted as CSS when I think it's being run through post CSS. I'm actually not sure. Probably need to look in the documentation for Next as to what preprocessor or whatever is being used there. But anyway, that appears to be working. So we're just going to keep going with it. And I might actually consider making these a little bit narrower. This is kind of wide for the amount of text and the length of the paragraphs, but I'm not going to be too bothered with it now. It's similar to what we have, so I'm going to stick with it. Anyway, we'll go to schedule now. Actually, sorry, we're not going to go to schedule other than we'll just put a page.js in there. What am I doing here? Good enough for now. We'll go to results. If I was smart, I would just copy and paste this from a different spot. Maybe we'll do that on the next one, which you can actually do in oil as well, which is actually pretty cool. So we'll do it that way. And this is actually probably an H2. Oops. Why is my auto indentation not working at my top level div? That is my question. If I put this on its own line, will that work? Equals inside this tag. If I add another div, will that work? Sort of. Oh, okay. Let's just get back to here. It's not working because I can't type properly. There we go. I'm also quite tempted to put some default styling in for that, because I think there will be... it's been a while since I've been inside of Strapi, but I believe the WYSIWYG has basic like header levels and things like that. And so I want those to have some default styling. I don't know, 2XL font, bold, MB6 probably. Should probably put some margin top in there. MT6. Oh, my margins are being combined, I think. I actually don't care right now. I'm not a font metering expert. And I really just want to get this going and then go through and make tweaks to it later. Club info and maps. I'm just going to put a header on here. This one's left aligned for some reason. I think we'll probably try to make that a little bit more consistent. And we're going to be smart this time, and we're going to use copy and paste inside of oil. So we're in schedule. We can actually just copy this line as if it's a line of text. So we can go back to clubs, and we can paste that. We can write that buffer, and it's going to create that page in there. And this is going to be... There we go. Good. Section info. And we can edit that. And we'll grab this and we'll put it in here. Good. And we'll move these PDFs over and link them up later. Actually, I probably won't even do that. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to roll this out in phases. I mean, the schedule is really what I want to get into the CMS. That's where the changes are made quite frequently. Feedback. That just goes right to a Google form. So we're just going to copy that link. And I'm hoping we can just throw a target on here. And this is where I'd make this component multi-line to F quote, F quote. Come on, F double quote. Maybe this is where we should just look up the link components. href is required. Replace scroll prefetch on navigate. Yeah, extends A, so I'm guessing we can just do a target. Yeah, I don't see anything mentioned there. I'm just going to go with target. Yeah, all right, cool. That does what I want. And where are we on? We're on feedback. We're actually going to delete that. Cool. And that's no longer a URL. Great. Getting started. Safety program schedule. Results. Club info and maps. Section info. Feedback does what it does. All right. Let's work on the home page a little bit. All right, so let's grab these images. I think that would be a good next move. And then actually, I really probably don't need these to be JSX. Let's keep them the default. And then actually, I kind of wish I had not deleted that tag. No, this is fine. So we'll grab these images. We'll get over to another terminal here. What are they? So diamond logo, transparent black. I'm pretty sure that's this one. And then we'll just use a little trick here. We'll do that. Put a curly brace there, comma, so we can copy more than one file at a time. And then this, what is this? Inspect. This is eco. PNG to, what is it? Public. And actually, you can just do that in oil too. Could have easily done that in oil. Okay, so now we can do to, although I'm not even sure these will work. Might need to dig into and figure out why those aren't working. Maybe, I don't know. And I don't even remember what these are called because I can't remember the name of a variable or a file name for more than 2 seconds. But that's cool. We've got oil, and we can actually just copy the file names like their text and paste them into the other buffer. Another reason why I like oil. So we'll go into public here. So, we'll just yank that, paste it over here. Delete the stuff we don't want. Put those on multiple lines. I actually don't know what I just did. So is that going to work? Oh, interesting. Width is required. What width is this displaying? Do I have a width specified in here? I don't. 167. And height is required. Interesting. Probably because it's doing the optimization. What was the height on that? I know this is all super tiny. 162. Oh, okay. You load that image, but you won't load the one in the layout. I don't actually understand why that is. But neither here nor there. And let's grab the other one. Let's copy that, paste that. And that was... and these are probably not the same widths. So that was 260 by 162. All right. And these are actually in the other order. So we'll put them in there. Cool. Like that in H1. We'll add some class to that. And here's why putting default classes into a CSS file kind of messes with us. So I've got this set up as an H2 here, and now I've got default classes that I've got to contend with. So I'm actually changed my strategy on that a little bit. Because I want default classes for content that's going to be edited by the CMS, because I don't want people having to remember class names that are managing the website. So I think I'm going to use a class or an ID that surrounds the content that'll be managed by the WYSIWYG editor, and then apply the default styles for only things that are inside that is what I'm going to do, so that things that are in the structure of the website don't get those default styles where I don't want them. Anyway, so we'll do this here. H1 class name will go. What am I doing here? Text. 5XL, something like that. Bold. Font bold. That looks like a pretty good place to start. And then we'll go. Text, I don't know, 2XL, font bold. Not even sure if that's really what I want, but we'll get it close. Oh, sorry. We don't want bold. We want font. We're going to go fix our style sheet. Global CSS. So what we're going to do is we're just going to wrap this in, I don't know, content. Oh my God, content. There we go. Equals percent. Can I do that? Yeah, good. Okay. Get rid of font bold on that. Looks good. I might bump that down one. Might give this a little margin bottom. Okay, close enough. And then I'm probably going to wrap this in a div. And then I can flex the whole thing here. Also not going to worry about mobile. I know mobile first, do mobile first, start mobile, and then add your desktop. Mobile really wasn't much of a thing when I started this whole web dev thing, so I just don't think of it that way. But we'll make sure that things work in mobile. That'll probably be a whole stream in and of itself. We'll add some gap to that. I don't know, maybe 8. And now we've wrapped. That's fine for now. Oh, let's get this silly background. I might give this just a little bit of a background. God, do I want that silly background? What these are steel targets with some goofy, emboss in GIMP cranked up to 1,000 sort of thing. Like a real background image might be cool there. I don't have anything handy, but we'll just keep it for now. Anyway, so we'll go BG gray 100, I think, just to start. Oh, that's not where we want it though, because that's where. Wait, what? What is going on there? Oh, yeah. So the home page, I actually don't want that padding I added to the layout. So yeah, that gap, we're going to get rid of that. I think maybe I wonder if we can use nesting to our advantage here. I'm not sure. I know in React Router, you can have a level of nesting just to add a layout, but it doesn't add any path segments to the route. I wonder if we could do something similar in this app router here. Have to look into that. So we could do 2 things. We could defeat this margin or this padding with negative margin. I'm tempted to do that to start, but if I find out that we can have a layer of nesting that just applies a layout, then I would be tempted to do that, to add that default padding. The other strategy we could do is just to add the padding on the individual pages. So we'd use something in here to do that. The downside to that is we're repeating ourselves unless we use like a reusable component to do that. You know what? We're going to create a section component, I think, that adds that padding. And I don't know. I'm going to waffle back and forth. Everything has its pros and cons. Everything is a trade-off. So let's just do that. So let's make a components folder. We're going to want that. And inside here, we're going to do a section component. We're going to do 12 and px4, something like that. And we're going to want to merge in classes. So I'm probably going to grab something like Tailwind merge to do that. I wonder if we have it by default. Let's take a look, because we brought in Tailwind. So I actually kind of wonder. No, it doesn't bring in Tailwind merge by default. But we'll start with this. probably want to export a function since we're doing React here. And then we can replace this. Is that right? No, that's not right. App. Cool. Okay, that's... Why did we lose? What have we done here? Oh, duh. Probably going to want to make that take some children and a class name. Okay, children, that's good. And then we're going to want class name. So we're going to grab Tailwind merge. I think this just merges classes. Yeah, it takes as many arguments as you want and merges them, and it's Tailwind aware. So we're just going to grab that. And I never use NPM. I can never remember. I'll save. Yeah, okay. It's TW merge. That's what it's called. Cool. So now we can use that. And now we can do something like this. So we can do overriding and add backgrounds and that kind of thing. Now we can take that padding out of our layout. And if I was smart, I would do something like 57 GG. We'll delete that. Do I even need this div? Probably not. I'll get rid of that. All right, cool. And we're going to add another section down here. We can just change this to like that. And I use a semantic tag. Aren't we cool? And we probably want to actually balance our tags. Good, good. And section is actually where we're going to put our max width to. And max W, what was it, 5XL? See, I already forgot. That doesn't seem right. We got a bunch of issues too. What? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, we probably don't want any of. Probably want to do our flexing and all of that business in the children, and we don't need all this padding. So we're going to go D2F double quote, and we'll paste that in there. And we don't need any of this. And we do want our background up here, so we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, that's much closer to what we're looking for. If I make that bigger, we do have a max width. That's good. All right, all right. Getting there, and then we've got a section there. That's good. And we're going to turn those into cards. We'll do that. And feels like a time to make a nice component, possibly. So why don't we do that? Probably not going to use Tailwind Merge here. Probably want all the cards to look the same. And we'll use some props here as well. So, let's see here. Yeah, I think I'm using, am I using grid or flex here? What am I doing? How am I anchoring these buttons to the bottom? I'm using flex. You know what? There's one spot on here with cards. We don't need a component for that. Let's not abstract until we need to abstract. We do, however, need to flex these guys, so we'll grab those. Item stretch, something like that. Shadow, some padding. Getting started. Those need to be headers. We'll make those a little bit bigger. Shift, not tab. Okay. Class name equals, I don't know, text, LG, font bold, something like that. Some MB, margin bottom, good. And we need a link in there. Probably want to end that with the right tag. Might be good. Oh, these all say learn more. And they've got a, oops, LAQUO. Oh, what have I done? Link is not defined. I should probably import that. We'll keep our Next imports together. Cool. I think I want more shadow. We'll worry about that in a minute. And I changed my mind. I want to make this a card component. So we're going to go. But we don't need to make it external if we're only using it here. And actually, sorry, it's going to take a title, children, and href. And we're just going to grab this. The reason I want to make this a component is because I'm going to have a bunch of repeated classes. So we'll make it a sort of a, I don't know, local component, if you will. What have I done here? Oh, I copied more than one. I did not mean to do that. And I think I deleted. I don't want to delete. Let's just copy this. Paste it here, join that. Indent, okay. Actually, we can do it this way. And then this is children. This is the title. Then we can go down here and make our card components title equals yank tag VIP. There we go. I meant to make that quotes. It's just a string. All right, equals. Oops. Okay, so we've got 4 card tags in a div. We've got the div flexed. Should be getting closer. And actually, am I using a grid up here? Is this a grid? This might be a grid. Yeah, totally using a grid. Let's use a grid instead of flexing these. Is it not grid calls 4? Grid calls 4? What am I screwing up here? Why aren't you gridding? It's not doing gap either. Gap 4 is there. Grid template columns, that's there. Oh, spelling. There we go. And I don't like the shadow. Let's do shadow. Medium. Why can't I find my shadow? There it is. It's pretty good. Let's put a border on there as well. Oh, not that border though. So I don't know. 200? 100? That's pretty good. Let's round it. Okay, that's close enough. Let's make those buttons. And let's make the buttons anchor to the bottom. Let's keep hitting tab when we want to hit shift. Okay, so let's go, I don't know, P2 rounded, BG blue, sky 600, text white, font bold. Let's see how close we are there. Let's get in there. I don't want bold. Hover. Font, not font. Holy cow. Hover, BG, sky, 700. Oh, that's darker. Let's go 500. All? That's pretty decent. Okay, so now we'll go flex, flex call, and we'll go grow. Good. Div. All right, that feels pretty good for an initial go anyway. All right, I think I'm actually going to call that good for today. We're just shy of 2 hours. Next time, I think what we'll do is set up an instance of Strapi and start modeling the data, particularly for the schedule and club info. Actually, I should probably click it up here. Schedule and club info sections. And so currently, if we look at the current structure, those are all located in this sort of static store file. In this view app, it's just a big, giant JSON object. So I'm going to recreate this structure inside of Strapi and then start wiring up that to make that dynamic. And I don't know whether I want this to be statically generated, and edits in Strapi will trigger a build, or if we'll do server-side rendering, maybe we'll host it on Vercel. Maybe I'll spin up some kind of Docker container. I don't really know. Maybe I'll do some offline research on that and make a decision. Anyway, hopefully you found something in here educational, and hopefully we'll see you next time.